Hello and welcome to Brainy Gardener. Today it is all about how to grow and care for the Agave Kissho Kan. Agave Kissho Kan, commonly known as Butterfly Agave, features small rigid leaves variegated with yellow along the margins, forming a perfectly symmetrical small rosette. The edges of this agave's leaves are lined with sharp spines that start yellow but fade to dark red color with maturity. The contrast between the red spines and the light blue and yellow color of the leaves is quite striking. The incredibly lovely Agave Kissho Kan grows slowly, forms symmetrical rosettes, and is typically solitary and stemless. Margins, spines, color, and overall shape all grow stronger as it gets bigger. This agave also makes an excellent container or houseplant. It's very drought-tolerant and low maintenance. It is of Japanese descent, hence the name. Agave Kissho Kan is an excellent choice for growing indoors or outdoors year-round, with few care requirements. Agave Kissho Kan is a sun-loving plant that can tolerate full sun to partial shade. When planting this succulent in a garden, make sure it gets sunlight. Full to partial sun is the best for its growth. It is better to grow outdoors rather than indoors. If planted in harsh sunlight, some shade will prevent the plant from developing sunburn. However, full shade is not recommended. This variety of succulents needs the same regular watering as other succulents. The way you water is crucial to the health of your plant. It shouldn't be allowed to sit on the water, and too much water should be avoided. Water your agave when the soil is dry. This will vary depending on how well drained your soil is. The best way to determine if it needs watering is to stick a finger in the soil and measure how far down it goes before encountering moisture. If you don't feel any moisture at all, then it's time to water. Water less during winter and more in summer. And most importantly, do not overwater. The Agave Kissho Kan thrives in temperatures between 55 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. It is a hardy plant that can tolerate most climates. It can survive at zone 9-11 bits, which is around 20 degrees Fahrenheit. If you live in a cold area, it is better to plant in an indoor environment. It is important to protect it from frost, as that will disfigure the foliage. As long as it gets enough sunlight, the plant will grow happily. The optimal humidity level is between 40 and 60%. Fertilizing is essential for fast growth, but it's even more important not to overdo it. Use a balanced fertilizer, 10 to 10-10, at the beginning of the growing season for the best results. Slow-release fertilizers prevent the plant from experiencing shock due to the sudden influx of nutrients. These plants, like the majority of succulents, prefer sandy soil with good drainage and little water retention. Agave Kissho Kan can be propagated by cuttings, offsets, or seeds. When propagating the plant from cuttings, use a clean knife to cut a leaf from the mother plant. Wait a few days for it to callus before replanting. Plant a new cutting in well-draining soil. Water it when the soil starts to dry out. To propagate from the offsets, you will have to wait several years for the main plant to produce an offset. To start this process, remove an offset from the mother plant. Clean the extra soil from it. Before replanting, wait for a few days to allow it to callus. Use well-draining soil for your new succulent plant. Water it when the soil dries out. To propagate Agave Kissho Kan from the seeds, plant the seeds in a balanced and well-draining soil mixture. The optimum temperature for seed germination is between 60 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. The rate of seed germination will be greatly reduced if the temperature is less. Cover the pot to preserve warmth and moisture. Agave Kissho Kan needs repotting every 2 to 3 years. It is a drought-tolerant succulent that can live for decades. Repot your agave during the spring. Remember that newly potted plants may need more water than usual until they become established. Water properly and don't overdo it. Keep the new potting mix lightly moist, but not soggy or wet to the touch. Choose a pot that is slightly bigger than the previous pot with drainage holes. Use a balanced, well-draining, and loam-based potting mix. Select a spot where the plant can get full sun or partial shade. Remove the agave from its old pot. Use a trowel to loosen around the plant and lift it out of the pot. Prepare a new pot with fresh potting soil. Set your agave in its new home. Fill in around it with more potting soil, leaving enough space so you can water without flooding it. Make sure not to bury the neck of plants. It should be slightly above the ground. Deep planting will cause the plant to rot. Agave Kissho Kan is non-toxic to humans and pets. However, this agave has sharp spines that can cause contact injury. Handle with care. Be aware that agave snout weevils, scale insects, slugs, and snails are common pests. The agave weevil larvae feed on the roots of young plants, damaging the root system. Therefore, you may need to pick them off individually before removing the affected parts. Any affected parts are irrecoverable, and you will need to either cut them off or opt for a new plant. Scale insects can be hard to see, but they will appear as small, brown, or black bumps on the leaves and stems. If you notice any scale insects on your plant, apply insecticidal soap or neem oil spray. Slugs and snails like to eat the soft leaves of young plants. Protect them by placing some mulch around the base of your agave if it's outdoors. If your agave is potted, you can remove and repot the affected part. Nematodes are your best bet to be rid of slugs and snails entirely. Please note and avoid overwatering the plant, placing it under harsh sunlight, using poorly drained potting mediums, and fertilizing during the dormancy period.